Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. It's Game 2, LGD Gaming versus Rattlesnakes. This one is a best of 5. Your winner, well, they'll be in the main event, the big dance at the International 3. Your East qualifiers, it all concludes tonight. LGD Gaming leading the best of 5 with a quick 1-0 start. Lumi, we predicted Rattlesnakes 3-2. We never thought it would be easy. How do they bounce back?
Draft better. You talked about the greedy draft, especially against the core that the Radiant took, which was very, very safe, very anti-mage. You know exactly what they want to do.
Very anti-mage.
Yeah. Oh, very safe, very very standard. They're never going to change. They're not going to go anti-mage and suddenly go blink Dagon on you, blink and slam. It's going to be completely standard. All you have to do is have a game plan, and they drafted like 4 to 5 semi-carries, and they tried to do everything in the playbook, and it just ended up not working out well.
I think they just got that. I think we actually saw this happen to IG. Zenith was playing them in a best of 3.
Oh, where they didn't ban anything, and IG was like, candy time.
Yeah.
Let's get everything.
It's like a kid on Halloween. He's like, I want a little bit of Snickers and a little bit of Twix and some jelly beans on top, and then he's got a tummy ache and he's puking it all back out. Yeah. It was a mess. They saw red. It was like the bull, and they just charged right at the Matador's cape. But I think this game, they kind of calm themselves, collect themselves. They take a step back and they say, we could have gone for something like the Darkseer instead of the Magnus. Or if we wanted Magnus, we put a mid. We run Bat Riders or jungle. We don't try to pick Doom and Prophet. So I think we'll see a more balanced draft from Rattlesnake, and actually, it'll be a different draft. They're going to get that Kunkka, which a hero that has sort of come out of nowhere the past couple of weeks. Used to be, we would only see him as a dual lane mid. Shadow Demon Kunkka, that was pretty much it. Maybe an offensive tri-lane, but we've seen him solo mid. We've seen Kunkka's ganking a lot. This hero has really exploded onto the scene, and I like the pick by Rattlesnake.
Yeah, Kunkka is definitely kind of the biggest hero for both these teams. Meanwhile, we're going to see a quick Shadow Demon and Darkseer pickup, and more importantly, setting themselves for a Spectre pickup as well. It'll surprise me if Rattlesnake here does not pick up a clock themselves. Kabu has been playing that clock beautifully, and I mean, it's a very nice setup here. You kind of hook in, you get your 1 or 2 man cog. Your Kunkka has basically absolutely free setup. The only thing that you have to be somewhat careful about is Shadow Demon Disruption. He could single-handedly, well, disrupt your entire combo.
If they go Spectre, they are now up against Darkseer and Shadow Demon. That is a lot of Spectres going the other way. Rattlesnake, they won't go for it. They'll go for a very cute combo. You talked about the cogs. We're going to see a Skywrath Mage and a Clockwork. You cog someone up, and then you drop down the pain from that Skywrath Mage ultimate. You can blow heroes up quickly, and for LGD, they don't have anyone who can get out of the cogs.
Well, Shadow Demon again, is going to provide the disruption. It could kind of delay the death a little bit longer, especially when he gets a very timely one. For me, the big Skywrath Mage pick up here, yeah, Mixed Flow is great with the cogs. It's great against Darkseer as well. Darkseer likes to run in and think he's boss by dropping out, Surge, Vacuum Wall, and it's actually very hard to stop him. Skywrath Mage says, I don't care, I have instant silence, and that's actually one of his strongest ability. You see a lot of support Skywrath Mage kind of leveling that up, and he will be played as a support Skywrath Mage. I haven't seen the Chinese play him any other way.
Yeah, and it also discourages that anti-mage pick, which maybe LGD we're going to go back to the well for here, because if they go anti-mage, now you have the silence, and that's a good way to burst him down.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very easy way, in fact, to burst him down. Normally, you max that silence first, and I do believe it's like, what, 7 seconds?
6 seconds when it's maxed.
6 seconds max, and more importantly, magical damage increase. When you have heroes like Kunkka, Clockwork, there's a decent amount of magical damage. LG taking a little bit of time. This is where they kind of easy pick, third pick Spectre, but they haven't done it so far.
They'll go Visage here. I actually thought maybe Rattlesnake would go for something like the Spectre Visage, but I mean, when you think about it more, LGD so many illusion counters with the Shadow Demon and the Darkseer, so I like the fact that they went for Clockwork Skywrath, made something different, and you can already tell LGD took a little bit of time there. Like, wait, what? Yeah. I mean, sure, Rattlesnake has picked some of these heroes before, but this particular combination, not something they were necessarily expecting.
Yeah, more importantly, Visage also give you another way to aid your teammates, even through those cogs, as well as Torrents or whatever combo. You send your birds in, drop them down, nothing is going to stop you. If they want to focus down your birds, well, they're not focusing on your heroes. So it's not a bad kind of defensive pickup, and also it retains them a lot of offensive power as well.
Rattlesnake, we've seen that Clockwork has been everything from a solo mid to a 4-position support. So no idea how they'll lane it. Kunkka's good in tri-lanes. They don't really have a great setup for him yet. Concussive Shot is okay, not really great, but we'll see where they go from here. I would like to see Rattlesnake get another stun on one of their supports, something maybe like Alina. Rubik wouldn't be too bad, but they need a little more AoE. They need a little more lockdown to deal with Darkseer, and we'll see where they go from here. For LGD, they need a carry, and what is Tyler going to play this game? Only Spectre banned, so Anti-Mage is available. Apparently they're not worried about it if he gets his hands on it. There is a Phantom Lancer. They already have 2 supports for LGD, so I doubt we would see the Keeper of the Light Phantom Lancer combo, but where do you think LGD goes for that Sylar hero?
I mean, Dragonite mid is also an option. It could be a 1-row Dragonite as well. We don't see it too commonly, but he's definitely a hero that the Chinese team is very familiar with. But aside from that, Weaver's being banned out as well, so that's another decent carry choice. And what else does Sylar play? Seems like he's got that 4 or 5 heroes, and Anti-Mage is not too good here.
This is where you could bring up the heroes list. I, of course, can't because I'm showing the draft, but we'll see what he goes for. I mean, you mentioned Dragonite.
There's a Luna.
Luna, that's another common one. Something that, well, looking at this game, Luna would actually be it's a little bit dangerous, because if you get cogged, you can end up just being useless in a fight.
Sure.
The silence is going to be annoying.
Although BKB is kind of trumping everything so far that Rattlesnake has.
If you can farm it, LGD does have a strong tri-lane if they go Luna, because they have Visage and Shadow Demon, so maybe it will be a Luna. I think that would be a pretty decent choice.
Yeah, we'd also seen Sylar do that Broodmother
no
thing against
no,
Alliance.
I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I'm not buying it myself either. I mean, there's kind of the more traditional carries, like things like Void and whatnot, but I don't expect that as well. So maybe when going gets tough, you just go back to the Anti-Mage, even though there's a lot of ways to deal with it. And Earthshaker is going to get the pickup. A ton of long range, a ton of melee heroes so far from Rattlesnake as well.
There's the big bad guy with the totem, and it gives them some really strong long-range initiation. They have a lot of burst damage, a great setup for Torrent if it's a Kunkka tri-lane, a great setup to get in range for Cogs. I like the pick because it suits Rattlesnake. They're an aggressive team. They want to take the fight to you early. LGD is the team where they'd rather play that kind of low-action game where they have a few ganks and they're very good at finding the right opportunities for them. They'll go DK here, but Rattlesnake, they're the team that just wants to snowball, and another snowball hero, it's going to be the Shadow Fiend.
The most snowball hero. You just go safe lane farm, you go quick Shadow Blade, Mask of Madness, Yasha, whatever you want after your face speed, obviously. And then you just go all over the map. Suddenly these supports, Shadow Demon, Visage, they're free picking. More importantly, once you get enough levels of your damage, as well as your minus armor aura, those birds, they're 300 gold. Everywhere you see them, 1-hit KO.
You know, Shadow Fiend, we've seen him win the safe lane versus Darkseer before. I think CTY, the last player I remember to show us that. So he does decently against Darkseer if he's pulled and if he's hitting his raises. Those are the 2 key things. You do have to last hit under tower. Maybe he gets a little support early. Rattlesnake are known for their dual lanes, so I don't know if they have the best dual lanes this game, but maybe that's something we see. He also does well mid against DK. That's a matchup where Shadow Fiend should be able to last hit pretty freely because Dragonite doesn't have great base damage, isn't really that strong with his attack animations, kind of slow. I think Shadow Fiend fits this game, and if Rattlesnake, if they go aggressive tri-lane, it's hard for LGD to punish that Shadow Fiend. It puts a lot of pressure on Yao to win the 1v1 matchup, assuming he plays the Darkseer.
And we're going to see a Gyrocopter coming out from LG Gaming. I expect it's going to be a defensive tri-lane up bot, Darkseer up top, or Darkseer on the Suicide lane. For a second, I thought LG was on the Dire, or on the Radiant, sorry. But it's going to be a safe lane Gyrocopter, Suicide Darkseer, and solo mid from Xiaowei. But it's like you said, I feel like Rattlesnake has the better lane here. It's hard to actually kill Luo multiple times because Neo is going to be providing the fissure block always.
It's a strong tri-lane for Rattlesnake, and I like this draft as well because there's not as much pressure on them to have those early ganks. They have a very suitable dual core, at least, with Shadow Fiend and Kunkka. Even potentially a tri-core, heroes like Lamb, Skywrath Mage could do a lot of work in the early to mid game. So we'll introduce the 2 teams. You've got the Juggernauts on the Dire side, Yao on the Darkseer, one of his signature heroes. Xiaowei taking the Dragonite mid. He has been pulled a set of tangos. DDC playing the Visage, one of his heroes that he's had a lot of success with in this tournament. Sylar, he'll be your 1-position hero. He'll be the Gyrocopter. Had kind of a shaky game in game number 1. It was enough in the end. And last, but certainly not least, it's DD, a man we thought we had lost to retirement, to casting, but he's back, and he's been impressive so far. LGD, they lead the best of 5 1-0. If they win 2 more games, they'll be in the main event, the big dance at Seattle this August.
And of course, Rattlesnake, the team that we're predicting, we being LD and myself, to go 3-2 against LGD. They're definitely underdog in the series here, and they will having Lamb play Skywrath Mage. Again, play some sort of carry last game, now back on support. We're going to have Luo on the bot lane, on the Shadow Fiend. Going mid, it's going to be Icy playing his Kunkka. And then we're going to go see going up top, it's going to be Neo or Sagam on Earthshaker. And last but not least, Kabu and Clockwork. I like their smart read on the lane. They know that Darkseer is going to be going on the long lane by himself. And you really need only one support to give Shadow Fiend that quick level 3. Because for the first 2 level, I think Darkseer will easily outlane the Shadow Fiend. But post level 3 or so, where Shadow Fiend is going to have the necessary base damage to basically last at everything, as well as the raises to protect himself with dive, he should be absolutely fine.
And this is actually a lane, despite having 0 stuns, that could kill a Darkseer.
Easily,
If you lead with the concussive shot and then you silence him with the Ancient Seal before he gets off Surge, Shadowfee can just walk up, hit a couple of raises, and even if you don't kill him then, you set up a potential kill later on. DD, he's got a haster, and he'll head up to the top Ancient stack here. Not actually going to do anything with that, but just going to back off. He'll head towards top now. For Rattlesnake, it started off as the dual lanes, but we now see the Earthshaker rotating bottom. So they're going to leave Kabu to fend for himself. And this is probably the most interesting hero-player combination in the game. Kabu, Clockwork. He's been pretty sexy on this hero in the past.
Yeah, we'll see what build he's going to be going for. I imagine it's going to be something that takes heavily on the Rocket Flare. I don't think he's going to have too much solo killing potential. Shadow Fiend, though, is missing a ton of CS on the bot lane. Missed all 4 under his tower. That's a big deal. You can't do that. But Luo should be able to have an easier time. Not against double Iron Shell. Those things are pretty hard to last it against.
It's going to be hard for him. And Yao's already level 2, which means, well, they need a good fissure block to find a kill here. Yao, he'll tango through. They're not going to kill him off. Missing more last hits is Luo. 1 last hit, 2 waves in. And that's not counting the denies either. You can just get 8 hits if you last hit all the creeps. They need him to step it up because they need to be able to get some levels on these supports. And in order to do that, he needs to be self-sufficient. Right now, he's not.
Yeah, it really delays, for example, your 2 support from being able to rotate gank mid with the smoke deceit that they already have. It's an easier time here for the Darkseer, and again, sooner or later, he's going to start diving you. If you're really under level, he's going to get some level.
They're going to go now.
They're still going to go here. I'm not sure whether it's going to be effective. Xiao A somewhat low on the mid lane, a single fissure into a silence and a concussive shot. Unfortunately, they don't have concussive shot right now because Skywrath Mage is level 1. Xiao A comes out on the right side, debuffs the smoke, and now this Observer sees him. So a ton of time being wasted back and forth here for Rattlesnake.
And this also puts more pressure on Luo. 5 last hits, but chewing quickly through his tangos. He needs a few more denies here. He's only got 6 CS, and you compare that to heroes like the Gyrocopter top lane, 11 and 4 on Sylar. This is something that Clockwork can't do. Clockwork can get levels and live in the off lane. He can't zone the enemy carry out. He can't put this level of pressure on them. And I mean, it's just the beauty of the Darkseer pick. I was a little surprised we didn't see him early last game, but we'll see him this game. And so far, you got to say, very successful for LGD.
Also, D-War coming out here from DD now that the on the mid lane here, Icy is going to be somewhat afraid because once Dragon Knight turns level 6, you could easily set up some ganks with that range initiation of that Dragon Tail. But yeah, going back to the bot lane, you talked about how Shadow Fiend normally beats Darkseer after you have that early start. He doesn't have the early start, and well, again, missing more and more CS as the lane progresses.
Eventually, Luo can still be left alone. Once you get to, say, level 5, you have your Tranquil Boots. It's very hard for Darkseer to do anything. And yeah, he'll actually go jungle now, but I would say mission accomplished. You look at the Shadow Fiend 7 and 5, he's missing gold as well, and you run a 1-position Shadow Fiend. He's a very squishy hero. The beauty of Shadow Fiend is he does farm quickly, but he needs a lot more items than heroes like Dragon Knight and Gyro to start getting involved, because Gyro, you can always drop cooldown from long range. DK, you can just throw in a Dragon Tail, you're tanky. Shadow Fiend's not. Shadow Fiend needs the Shadow Blade, he needs the BKB, he needs the big items to have an impact.
Yeah, also by having your Darkseer in jungle, Kunkka have to play another level of more defensively. The ward got dewarded. You could easily put an Iron Shot on Xiao A and Surge up front, and looks like they might be a little bit more harassed. And of course, he could also pop out on the top lane and start getting a gank there as well. So even though Yao's not getting as much farm as he could normally get on the bot lane, he's, again, kind of shutting down the farm on the other lanes by being off the map.
He got them off to a faster start, and we now look at the gold graph, the first time this game since it's been so passive. 800, 900 gold lead for LGD, a 1,200, 1,300 experience lead, and that's just the early movement. Earthshaker started top, walked all the way bottom. They fail on the early smoke gank. They tried to zone Darkseer out, didn't succeed there. They're pretty far behind already.
Yeah, the rotation just has to be a lot less impressive here. And it looks like DD will rotate in just to get some EXP under tower for now. Nice Shadow Poison, early point here. Level 2, generally you see Disrupt, or you see Soul Catcher at this point, but because he used Shadow Poison, he could pull the Crew Wave off the tower, get some free farm and EXP, and try to protect this tower as best as he can.
I'm just comparing the two offlaners, Lumi. Yao, level 5, pretty much has a headdress or his soul raid, assuming he goes for that. You look at Kabu, level 2, has boots, and that's it. This is night and day, and it's the beauty of the Darkseer. It's something Clockwork can't do. Clockwork, he can't go to the jungle. He can't really gank effectively early unless he gets a lucky rune. All he can do is sit top and try to be a nuisance. Darkseer can do whatever the hell he wants, and he's doing it now. It's just the beauty of the pick.
Kabu in a little bit of trouble here. He's going to drop the cog, and that will push everybody back. He should be fine, but the rotation is going to come in from the Xiao 8. Xiao 8 does have Dragon Form, and he's going to be popping it. Where's the search? No search just yet. Juke. Kabu's running through the trees, but the sun will come through, and I think that's it for him. He may be a Strength Hero, but he's only level 2. The Torrent's going to miss as well, and that's first blood from Xiao 8.
So miscommunication there. Icy not landing the Torrent. LGD once again striking first. They'll get your first blood, and if the Torrent hits there, that's a double damage run on Kunkka. Unfortunately, he didn't have mana for the boat, just a little bit short, but I think he might have been able to get a kill, or at least force LGD to go heal. Instead, it's like you said, the jungle Darkseer, I mean, he could pressure mid. He can also pressure the offlane if Kabu overextends.
Yep. So, game is not really going well here for Rattlesnake, but you are working with the Shadow Fiend. Once he gets up to, I don't want to say level 8 or 9, once he starts having a ton of raises, he could basically rise in the jungle all day long, but instead they're going to transition into a tier 1 push. There's not going to be too much answer coming out from the direct counterpart. They're somewhat afraid pushing into a tower because if you do, Clockwork's going to get a ton of level. And right now, not only is Rattlesnake pushing, they're doing a decent job zoning out the, well, I say they're zoning out DD, but DD's getting a ton of level himself. And they don't get the tier 1 tower either, so.
There's a couple of reasons why Kabu isn't getting those levels. Like you said, it's LGD doing a good job of controlling the waves. The other thing is, well, Rattlesnake never contested the jungle. They never dewarded. They didn't really feel that strong about it. They just kept the Darkseer top, or the Earthshaker top along with the clock, but if you don't contest the jungle early, LGD, they have an easy time pulling, stacking, and controlling the lane. So yeah. Some of those early decisions having big ramifications now.
And normally you see Rattlesnake, they really love to do like a dual off lane, like a Clockwork Darkseer, for example. I was so sure that they were going to do something like a Clockwork Earthshaker and make sure they each get like a quick level 2 and 3, and then you rotate the Earthshaker off the lane, because I really don't think Darkseer needed much more than, for example, a solo Skywrath mage to kind of zone him out.
Yeah, Yao right now, well, he's level 7. Chainmail picked up for him. He'll go for the mech. We head towards the mid-game Lumi, and I think it's a good time to kind of look at item progression and how you see these teams shaping up in the mid-game fights. Early phase boots on Sylar. Combat ready is your DK for Xiao 8. He's got the treads. He's got the bottle. The Boko's in mid. Pretty big whiff from Icy, but it's got a low cooldown. Not the biggest deal. I head towards the mid-game for LGD, and I see a lineup that is very hard to fight into, especially with an early mech, a tanky frontline initiator like Dragon Knight, lots of backline burst damage from Visage, from Gyro. LGD, they would love for you to dive them and then turn it around.
Yeah, I don't think the unfortunate. Ooh, looks like we're gonna see Dragon Form in the mid lane. The sun comes through as well. Icy taking a ton of damage. Flame Breath should actually seal the deal. And where is that Flame Breath? No mana is actually following through. Not Tress Swapping. He finally will Tress Swap for that kill. Here comes Lamb rotating in, and he's not gonna get a rebuttal. It's like you said, they have the early game lead and they're still pressuring. But back in the mid lane, we do see a rotation coming from Kabu. He has the cogs ready. Where's the concussive shot? Slow. Nothing just yet. We have a buyback from Kunkka as well. There's a concussive shot. There's a battery assault. The cogs going to come through as well. What are the buybacks worded? That we'll see. This defensive disruption. And Torrent's going to get dodged as well. And now Kabu in big trouble. He's going to go down.
Pick it up. Xiao 8's able to get away. He's gotten the haste. He's coming back in. Director 8. This is a script even he couldn't have written if they find this kill on Icy. He just fought back. He's going to go down again. That is a disaster unmitigated for LGD, or for Rattlesnake rather. Xiao 8, oh, you saw the power of disruption there. He was able to get away. The Dragon Form keeping him out of range, and finds a solo kill versus Kunkka, forces a buyback, and the lucky haste rune after the great movement from DD. But you really got to credit DD, was just there at the right time.
Yeah, it's as you say. I mean, LG love to have Rattlesnake going into them when they have the item advantage, when they have the hero advantage. More importantly, when they have the Darkseer disruption, it really makes those ganks go the other way. If you look at the Rattlesnake lineup, they are purely defensive in my opinion. They have long-range nukes, but most of their spells are Fissure, Cogs, both for the Coco Rum. You really want to stay on the defense. They even bought back for that kill here, and they didn't get it. Of course, they bought a ton of room for Shadow Fiend to farm on the bot lane, and he is getting really good farm, but he's not going for that snowball build. He can't, because he's really far behind. He's not going for the Phase, Shadow Blade, Mask of Madness. Instead, he's going for a BKB, which is nice, but it's not really kind of a good one-row Shadow Fiend build, in my opinion.
It would be okay if they had the levels and items on their other heroes to just jump in and force the fights at the towers, but you look at the items coming out for LGD now, Mech is going to be there, probably around the 10-minute mark for Yao, and that's an incredibly fast mechanism on an off-lane Darkseer who's been roaming around, who's been under pressure. Rattlesnake in a lot of trouble here, and there's just been an element of, I don't want to say desperation, but they felt pressured from the start of this game. The early smoke gank, they want to make a go on DD, but he gets off the disruption. disrupts the Shadow Fiend, not himself, and looks like he'll even get the tower denied. DD Dota, the other DD Dota. Now your boat comes in, the backstab from Xiaowei. Luo trying to man up. Can he do it? He hits the raise, but he's going to go down now. Yao pops him like a pinata. The souls fly out, and in the end, Rattlesnake, they get the tower. Was denied, though. They lose their one position Shadow Fiend. Not a good trade for them.
That was one of the most beautiful interaction and then kind of rebuttal that I've seen from LG. As soon as the fissure came out, double TPM. Because if the fissure wasn't used, as soon as the TPN, they could walk back and then fissure and make a safe escape. Once the fissure is used, your Earthshaker is basically useless for a couple seconds. And he kind of just lumber around that team fight, not doing a single thing. They gone on the Shadow Fiend, got a free kill, but more importantly, it's like you say, DD, making those denies. What a player.
He's been fantastic this game, and the scary thing is he retired. He's the one who should be rusty, if anything. He's come back. He's showing some impressive form. And for Rattlesnake, I feel they're just pressing too much. The problem is now maybe they have to press. With all these deaths, they're down by 2k gold. There's already a mech up on the Darkseer. More importantly, I look at this experience graph for Rumi. Rumi. Oh, Jesus.
That's
been
okay.
casting with you for too long, my brother.
I'll be Rumi. That's fine.
Ruminous. Lumi. And it's a 6k experience deficit. That's really bad because their supports, especially Skywrath Mage and Clockwork as the offlaner, need a lot of levels.
Yes, actually, interestingly, Lamb going back for an Arcane Bow build. Again, I just talked about how important Ancient Seal is.
Lurks on the high ground. He'll break the smoke here. And by the way, the mech's up.
Rattlesnake might be trying to force a tier 1 tower fight. They do have a ton of AE. Rocket's going to scout everything. Clockwork Hook's going to come right in there. They do have the mech on Yao. The Torrent's going to fly in. Where's the boat? No boat just yet. Yao mechs himself up. Look at the burst damage. They will burst him down, but Kabu, he's actually being trapped, and now the sun comes in, the call-down comes in as well. Sylar going to work. It looks like Lewis drops his ultimate, but I think he's going to go down a second time here. DDC, nice pick
blown up, and that's going to delay your BKB. DD will go down on the backside. They get that Shadow Demon, but he's already done his job. Darkseer got off the mech, baited out all the spells. Now they need to get the hell out, and it looks like with the secondary concussive shot, they will. Maybe a slight advantage there for Rattlesnake. They do get the 2 kills, only the 1 on LGD going their way, but the Shadow Fiend's the one that dies again, so tough to say.
Yeah, Shadow Fiend's playing really, I want to say overly aggressive, especially when he doesn't have the BKB. The physical as well as the magical damage is just too much here from LGD. Good teleportation coming out from Sylar, really showing you why Gyrocopter's so early picked up these days. He gives you that early to mid-game force, but retains the late-game carry, and that call down was really big in that team fight. Hit like 2 or 3 people.
I want to point out, Xiaowei, he's not far off of a BKB of his own. He's actually your lead farmer this game. Or not farmer, but your lead net worth. 3-0-3 as a mid lane DK. DK normally doesn't really roll mid lane. He just farms and he pushes the tower.
Yeah.
It's very unusual to see a Dragon Knight having this kind of a start, and part of it's been DD, but part of it has just been Xiaowei playing exceptionally well.
I mean, if you look at the BKB, what answer does Rattlesnake have against it? Shadow Fiend could right-click through it, but not against... how much armor does DK
19.
have? 19. And of course, his debuff on armor is not really going to come out anytime soon. What is Kunkka going to do? Sure, his Hybrid ignores armor, but you're not doing too much damage. DK is going to shrug off all your attack. He's going to be in the front line, and suddenly your Skywrath Mage, your Earthshaker, your Clockwork, they're useless.
Another smoke from Rattlesnake. They are really feeling the pressure right now. The rocket will come towards top. DD might be scouted out by that. Nope, looks like it'll actually hit the lane. And tower, not quite in deny range. They would love to at least get the tower deny. They need to make something happen here. Problem's going to be there's a hasted Dragon Knight TP scroll available. There's a mech on the Darkseer. No TP, however, for Yao would normally have one up. It's actually coming now on the courier, and they're going to look to go in now. Can they find that opening? They got to make this gank work. It's so dangerous to dive. They'll find DD, and he's going to be silenced. They blow him up quickly. He should go down. He will. Now Kabu, however, in trouble. Hasted Dragon comes in. Xiaowei fissure block, but not fully away. He gets surged in two. That's a double haste. Unnecessary, but why the hell not? Sylar, he's already killed off the Clockwork. He wants some more. Another silence on Xiaowei. He'll run right past it. He wants Sag him. Can he find him? Sun's icy instead. Sylar comes in, head full of steam. There's your rocket barrage. Xiaowei picks off the Clockwork or the Earthshaker. They're going to take 3. LGD Gaming, perfect counter ganks. They take 3. They take yet another tower and no trade in sight for Rattlesnake.
Yeah, I mean, Luo did his best trying to force out basically a tier 1 tower trade on the mid lane. Unfortunately, DD TP's in, pops a glyph, and Shadow Fiend just have to back off. Everything going wrong for Rattlesnake. That was a pretty obvious smoke gank considering that there was a big creep wave in front of the tier 1 and nobody TP'd in for Rattlesnake to defend that tier 1.
Yeah, I didn't like that, and I also don't like diving LGD. When they have a mech, they have a Dragon Knight who had a haste rune, and you're diving a Shadow Demon. that's a very low percentage play.
Yeah, I mean, they thought they could kill the Shadow Demon very quickly, and they did. In fact, Kabu survived a little bit longer as well. I'm not too sure whether they saw the bottle haste, so I don't want to kind of knock on Rattlesnake too much, but it's definitely showing the desperation. When you 4-man smoke gang near a tier 1 tower where LG could easily TP him with the mech that they do know about, it's a low percentage play, and they definitely pay for it. Lucky thing for them is that Luo, again, getting a ton of free farm, and he's close to that BKB. Once he has it, he's going to be able to make some play with his team, but we'll see. I'm just not impressed with this Shadow Fiend right now.
It was just a slow start for Luo, and Shadow Fiend, very momentum-based hero. He has caught up in terms of CS. That is the beauty of Shadow Fiend. He can farm the stacks quickly. Even with the slow start, definitely a hero that can come back, but he's got a tall order ahead of him. He's up against Shadow Demon, one of the best counter carries in the game, and just a nuisance to play against. Dragon Knight, who's tanky, who can just go in and man up and stun him. There's no BKB yet for Luo. Sure, he's your lead farmer, but sitting on 2 deaths, they only have the 2 towers bottom. They haven't taken the tier 1's top or mid, and LGD, they feel confident. Yao's going BKB. There won't be much of an answer for this either. And LGD wanting to force a fight. This gank I like because middle lane's pushing in, top lane is at the tower, but bottom lane's pushing in as well. And the difference is, if they don't find a fight, no big deal. They're the ones who are ahead. They can afford to take these risks.
Dragon Knight so invis up right now. They're going to find themselves
oh no, Luo's going to get caught out. He'll be the one that's purged. That's going to delay his BKB. The Fissure is here, but I don't think it matters. Too much stun. The Familiars blow him up. Sylar with his BKB comes in as well. Boat flies through, won't stun a thing. Unfortunately for them,
buys back.
Oh, is he going to be able to do anything? He's forced to cancel his TP. They vacuum back a few. Wall dropped as well. Can they get another kill? They're thinking about Kabu. Can they find him? Torrent's there. He gets blown up. The Torrent won't save him. And LGD, they force another buyback. They win another big fight. This feels like it could be a very early GG for Rattlesnake.
I really think that LG, despite having the big lead, maybe they shouldn't really overcommit. They could get this tier 2, but I think they should back off because they are down all their ultimates. They're somewhat low in terms of HP,
and
but
no
they're
BKBs.
They're going to safely push it. They're not going to die for any kills. They get the tier 2, and they smartly back off. Don't need to chase for anything else. You got your tier 2. Very, very beautiful play. Never overextending.
LGD, like you said, just playing patient. They're not forcing the issue. And when they go for a gank, it's a higher percentage play simply because the lanes are pushed in. The other thing is, I mean, they had the items to fight. If Rattlesnake was waiting for them, I think there's still a very good shot they take that fight. With double BKB, with a very highly leveled Visage, with a Darkseer with a mech, and already having wall, I think LGD, even if they get caught by surprise, good chance they come out ahead. For Rattlesnake, they needed a surgical operation. So LGD, just the better, more patient movements this game.
Well, Rattlesnake says, your ultimates are still somewhat cooldown. Let's make a big play on the bot. Tier 1 is still somewhat healthy in terms of HP. They got the glyph as well, but yeah, LG says, I don't see you all over the map right now, especially with your Tier 1 being pressure. I'm going to go out.
Kabu's got hook. Will he look to go in here? If he finds Xiao Wei, I don't know that's the hero you want. He'll actually hook onto a familiar. Those Imba birds doing work. AUI would be proud. And now Kabu, well, he'll have to back off. More time being wasted. Lumi, one thing I want to mention, just look at the wards top and mid. After they take that fight, they get some great wards down.
I do believe that ward in the mid lane actually scouted out the smoke. I'm pretty sure that it did, and that's why LG really kind of had the smart rotation. Again, they'll siege up here. Xiao Wei turns his ultimate. We'll be working on tier 1, and there's just no response from Rattlesnake. They need that hook. They need everything to actually fight a decent team fight.
Who do you go on here? You go on Dragon Knight, you go on Gyro. You don't have that much physical damage. Shadow Fiend, sure, he hits for 150, but there's a lot of armor on those heroes. There's the mech heal as well, and
you can't go on anybody. There's double BKB up on Gyro. There's a BKB on Dragon Knight as well. You go on creeps. You try to draw this game out late and farm. I just don't think you can fight.
Go ham on those creeps.
Yeah,
you
you really have to here. And Neo on the top lane, I think he's looking for a level 8. He's also got 2 points or Aftershock. Maybe he misskilled a little bit here. He doesn't have max fissure. Not too sure what that's about, but I think the only chance again is a low percentage play, draw out the long game. But again, it's not really a game-winning play.
It's always the risk when you try to go for so many smoke ganks early. If you fail on those smoke ganks, it kind of forces you to go for more because you start falling so far behind that you don't really have a choice. Xiao Wei, he'll come in now, but doesn't have his dragon form anymore. And despite seeing him by himself, Rattlesnake afraid to go in. Bottom lane's pushing in, middle lane's pushing in. LGD just with some truly incredible map control.
Here comes LGD. They can actually cut them off right now. Observer Ward's going to give him a little bit more sight, but looks like they don't want to get really pincer in by that fissure. That could have been a big possibility play. Clockwork Hook's going to miss as well. No harm, no foul.
I don't know if he wanted to go on that, but if he does find that hook, the backup wasn't going to be there. So I think for Kabu, maybe lucky he missed.
Well, Well, when you're in a position where you're lucky that your hook missed, the game's not going well for Rattlesnake here.
Generally, that's a bad sign.
Yeah. BKB is finished on Luo, so that's definitely a big thing here. Icy, I'm not sure exactly what he's farming for. Drums could be nice, but I feel like even though drums could be a really good item that helps you right now, you need something bigger. So I feel like Shadow Blade or maybe working on towards his own BKB is not a bad choice either.
You're up against a very farmed Gyrocopter and a Dragon Knight, and oh, by the way, Darkseer. So I look at this lineup for Rattlesnake, and I say they have to get greedy with their item choices. Maybe not with the ganks, but they need a lot of damage to go through those BKBs, to deal with the early mech, to deal with the high armor of a Dragon Knight. So I don't think something like Drums is the way to go. I agree with you. It's normally a great item on Kunkka, but this game, you really need damage.
Uh-oh, Icy might be a little bit of trouble here. As DDC comes in, he could Grave Chill.
Oh, man.
He could actually resummon the burst from DDC and get that stun off, but opted for maybe the cooldown was a little bit more important.
No big deal, because meanwhile, they're getting to tower top. So they take a tier 2. Sure, they don't find the kill, but in the end, they still come out ahead. And LGD, it's like clockwork. You get ahead, you control the map, you get the aggressive wards down, you take the outer towers, and you get a gem. And with aggressive lane wards, you just strangle the enemy team.
Yeah, and we're looking at a 10,000 goal lead now here for LGD. So
is it insurmountable, this game? That's the question.
Well, you're dealing with the Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend, we see magical things happen in the past with Shadow Fiend. Like, he really could get his farm going, but I really don't think so this game, because the double BKB came so early from LGD. Now they could go for nothing but damage item and still be really fine, and you could basically burst down that Shadow Fiend very quickly as well. More importantly, this is something I really forgot to talk about during the drafting stage. You have Darkseer Wall, you steal a Shadow Fiend Illusion, you get Presence of the Dark Lord, you get a ton more physical damage output. Can you imagine Sylar with Flat Cannon with minus armor on the enemy supports? They will just melt.
And they have a medallion on DDC,
Sure.
so that's potentially minus 10 armor right now. Actually, sorry, make that minus 11, it'll max out at minus 12. That's going to chew through Shadow Fiend, who, despite being an agility hero, his armor is not that great. Only 9 right now.
Right, and what's the best way for Rattlesnake to get kills? It's things like Fissure into Torrents, into Hook Shots, and Mystic Flare. The best answer is available, and that's a single disruption. So I just feel that as a heroes matchup in this mid to late game, it's very hard for the Radiant to make it head along go. They have to get some really strong, powerful counter ganks. Catch LGD maybe trying to initiate with the disruption and then turn it around, but LGD, they're so far ahead, they play so safe. I don't think they will make these mistakes.
They do. I mean, they're really the definition of a safe team. If this was someone like Orange Esports on the dire side, who can often just dominate their opponents, but other times overextend, get a little bit greedy, I would say even someone like IG, a fantastic team, but an aggressive team, I think you have a better shot at coming back, to be totally honest. When you're behind an LGD like this, it gets very hard. And they'll go in on Sagam now with the birds. Will the stun be there?
Enchant on him does not work against birds.
Well, he was feeling desperate.
Neo needs to hit those mech books a little bit later on. It looks like we do have maybe X initiation on the mid lane. Icy
can
just
they actually
running in. He does X. He will Torn. Disruption not going to follow through here. And a couple of... Yeah, nice here. Nicely done. But the counter gank.
Here comes Sylar. He does eat a concussive shot to the face. He will be slowed down. However, Icy, maybe not so lucky. He throws out the boat. He gets vacuumed back. And I think he might go down with the gem on DDC. He's trying to run away. He's actually pretty tanky. One of the nice things about Kunkka is his survivability. Can he get away? Fishes for a torrent. Will not find it. Soul Assumption cooling down. It's not going to do it that much damage, but it will be enough. And, well, Lumi, LGD, now they go for your last outer tower, that tier 2 bottom. And Rattlesnake, they're the ones who are being strangled right now.
Yeah, in that team fight, we saw the power as well as the weakness of Coco Rum. It gives you a chance to run away with the 10% movement speed, allows you to tank higher, but when they could keep up with you with things like Surge as well as Grave Chill, then you just die. You still die, and that's exactly what they did. Seems like Shadow Fiend's like, you know what, we really can't defend this tier 2 tower on the bot lane. Let's get some farm up top, and he just, well, he's going for maybe a tier 2 trade, but I don't think he'll get there on time. Shadow Fiend's sitting at 2,700 gold. Is this where you say, let's go Manta, or do you want to go for even a bigger item like a Butterfly or maybe even an MKB?
It's tough to say. I mean, you
Desolator.
go Manta, there's a Gyro. So your illusions are just going to die. It's only going to really help you in split push. So I would lean towards just a straight damage item. Like you said, a Desolator perhaps, maybe an MKB. We'll probably see evasion for the Gyrocopter. I think Sylar maybe goes Satanic here, but then he'll definitely go Butterfly. So I think it's got to be a damage item. Problem is, I don't know if it's enough. Xiao 8's getting closer and closer to an Assault Cuirass. And once he gets that, they'll have such a good lineup to break the base. There's your torrent on Sylar. Eats a little bit of nuke damage, but he's got the Aegis. He's not too fussed about this. They'll continue to just chip away at this tower. There's a BKB for Yao as well, so call it a triple BKB. That's going to be very hard to deal with. Fissure spam, everything being thrown at them, but does it matter? LGD still fairly healthy, still working on the tower. Glyph is down. Rattlesnake, they must stand and fight soon. There's your hook. Catches Xiaowei. Is he the one you want to catch? Pops his BKB. Kabu gets pushed back out of the cog. Sylar's going to blow him up, and on the back of that, they may take Rax. He's bought back. Can he do anything? That was a triple BKB usage. They want the Rax, but they're not going to overextend here. They'll back off, and they will let it stand for now, but hey, they force a buyback. They get a kill. They don't lose their Aegis. LGD, smart, safe play.
It's really, really smart play. Normally you say, hey, we got a kill. We have our BKB. We could actually press for a little bit more, but Shadow Fiend TP back really late. He actually traded to tier 2 up top, and then he TP back. BKBs were down here for LGD, and they saw the clockwork buyback, so they could come back here. They could actually go for the Roshan if that's what they feel like. But they'll defend their towers now, and then set up for the next play, which should be the Rosh.
End of the day, would you rather have a really farmed Shadow Fiend or a really farmed Gyrocopter at this point? There's triple BKB on LGD, so Requiem of the Souls does nothing aside from slow, which is pretty much useless. Triple Raise does nothing for you, and Shadow Fiend is worse range. So I look at the farm, and even if this was a dead even game, I would favor LGD. And oh, by the way, they also have a fat Dragon Knight. Huge advantage for them. They now lead by about 12k gold, 11k experience, and they're about to get some really big items. Sagam, there's your Blink Dagger for a Shaker. Oh, bottom lane, actually. Icy on the run. Yao giving chase.
Backing backwards. Where's the Grave Chill? We'll activate it right now here. And Ping is closing in that Xiaowei with the Dragon Stun. And there's a Torn. Well, Torn's not going to hit anybody, and Icy will go down.
Not much he can do. Just tries to farm a little bit too far. He does get picked off, but they're starting to feel a bit desperate. You look at the amount of farm, and it will be Luo going straight for a Butterfly. Great pickup this game. Sylar building his own, and does he have it yet? No. Coming soon, though. They've used their Dragon Form. He's level 16. He actually popped Dragon Form, then hit level 16 off that kill.
Oh my God.
He'll be surged in. There's your Dragon Tail initiation. Lamb in trouble. Can they actually defend? It looks like they can't. This will be your first lane of Rax. LGD China just overwhelming and overrunning Rattlesnake here in game number 2. This could easily be a 2-0 victory, and they're going to go for the juggler here. They'll work on the mid Rax, the tier 3, dropping quickly. Despite no poison breath, it doesn't even matter. Chip, slowly but surely, they're working away at it. And meanwhile, top lane Luo can't go for the trade. He was driven off of the tower. Sylar, he's almost got his Butterfly. This should be the end for Rattlesnake very soon. They'll hang on Lumi, but for how much longer?
I just want to point out, if you look at what DD's doing up top, he's making one of the most beautiful and smartest play ever. He TP'd back into his tier 3 and basically defended against Shadow Fiend, and he basically chased after Shadow Fiend. The reason he's doing that is preventing Shadow Fiend from TPing. As soon as he sees Shadow Fiend TP, he'll disrupt. So basically, it's still a 4v4 in the mid lane. He just bought his team a ton of time to actually extend that push. A lot of support players says, oh my gosh, Shadow Fiend, I can't do anything. If you got a stun and chase him out, prevent that TP, you're winning that team fight elsewhere for your teammates. Just smart play.
Yeah, really smart play, and he's been the stalwart, the standout player for LGD in this game. And I mean, even in the earlier games, I would say DD has been, if anything, the best player in LGD. And they've all played well, but he's the one who retired. He's the one who has come back from retirement, albeit only a month or two, but still, that's enough time for your skills to start to atrophy. We've seen that with Light of Heaven. Took some time off. Amazing player, but
you never really retire from Dota. I mean,
yeah,
have you seen Vigas? Have you seen ZSMJ?
But when you're not playing competitively every day, it makes a difference.
Sure, definitely here.
And we're seeing for DD, it's like there's no rust.
Yep. Well, the rust came against Vichy Gaming on that first game in DSL, but that
true.
was a long story. Now they have came right back, second place in the G1 LAN finals, and now looking strong to actually close things out. They're up 1 game, possibly 2 right after this one, and a lot of people predicted 3-1 or 3-0. LG looking really powerful, really strong.
Rattlesnake, they're going to make it very hard on themselves if they lose this game, and right now it feels very close to hopeless. They're going to hang on here. They need a lot of damage items. Luo, he's picked up a Butterfly. They do have that pocket Blink Dagger on Earthshaker. Problem is, how much can you really do with that when there's triple BKB on LGD? You have to just be perfect with your timing, and it's hard to be perfect against so many tanky heroes, and against heroes like Shadow Demon, Darkseer, great defensive heroes that can help your team get out of harm's way. Rattlesnake, I feel if they hit their full combo, maybe they can take a fight at their base. Maybe they have to buy back 1 or 2 heroes to do it, but that's about it.
I mean, you do have Wombo combo, but the big issue is the fact that Darkseer will never get caught by it, or he shouldn't. And same thing with the Shadow Demon. It's very easy for LG to disrupt your combo, and you basically are down all of your ultimates, basically after you use your combo, and you just don't have too much damage afterwards. Shadow Fiend is going back for his Butterfly, has it. I think if he finishes Butterfly and a Helm of Dominator and then picks up an MKB, I think Rattlesnake has some chance, but I just don't think he will have time to actually pick up all of those items.
Well, even if he picks those up, that's where Sylar and Xiaowei both have massive inventories. Already, we see they lead that Shadow Fiend, that one position, safe lane Shadow Fiend, both of them by about 2.5k. Xiaowei, now a Reaver for him. Soon, I imagine we'll see the Heart of Taras. Could even be the Satanic. Either way, he'll be unkillable, and because he's Dragon Knight, you can't really ignore him, because sure, he doesn't do the most damage with every attack, but he's hitting and slowing everyone. That makes him a very suitable counter carry to someone like Shadow Fiend.
More to point out that slow goes through BKB, so Shadow Fiend, despite his BKB, he's not really truly invincible. He's far from it, in fact.
He can't easily run from the gyro when Xiaowei goes on him. He also can be purged, and I mean, that's where Gyro chews him alive. Sylar can easily bring him down from long range, especially when he has the backup, and especially once he gets MKB, which seeing, I mean, you see this item, the butterfly pickup for Luo, pretty obvious to go for the MKB next.
Well, so far, I mean, Rattlesnake is doing fine. They lost some racks on the bot lane, but they're doing a decent job pushing out the Equilibrium on both mid and top, so the ultimatum is not coming anytime soon. And again, even if you're dragging the game out, the go chart is going the other way. As we see, Kabu now sees Yao. In fact, he misses the hook, goes very far. The Force Abs is gonna, well, the Cock still zone people out. Where's the X? Where's the Torrent? There's nothing. They gotta back off.
Well, he went on DDC there, didn't actually find the hero that was nearby, but had he, I think it could have been trouble, because the Familiars were parked on the high ground, just waiting for him to go in. LGD, that wasn't really a mistake by them. They were expecting a go there from Kabu and hoping for the opportunity. He actually hooked his way, I almost want to say to safety in that case, just by hooking past the Familiars.
Again, I don't think it's a bad play for Rattlesnake for the past 5 minutes or so, because look at them. They TP back. They see basically 2 full creep waves on both mid and top lane, and a little bit of extra farm on the bot lane as well. So you could farm a little bit, push things out, and still delay, again, what seems to be the inevitable, and just keep drawing the game out. That's your only hope, and Shadow Fiend is getting somewhat farm. He will have Helm finish after this wave.
Crystallis up on Icy. Again, I do really like the item selections for Rattlesnake. Going for late game items, going for damage items, not trying to build things like Manta style, which, I mean, on first glance, normally a good item on Shadow Fiend, so much AoE, and not really the best just 1v1 combat item. I like their item selections. I like the way they're playing as well, but it's a long way to go. Can they steal that Aegis? That's going to be the question. Look at DD. Look at the Familiars trying to set up a block. He will hook in. Kabu wants that Aegis. He did get the last hit on Roshan, it looks like, but the Aegis goes to Sylar. This could be bad. Luo, channeling the Requiem of Souls, does nothing because everybody's tanky. He's being slowed by the Dragon. Tries to fight his way out. Doesn't even scratch Yao. Echo Slam is here. There's your ultimate from Lim. They turn it around, but is it going to be enough? Xiaowei's alive. Sylar's alive. Doesn't even lose his Aegis. 4 heroes hit the deck. That was one of the best Earthshaker counter initiations you will ever see. And Lumi, it just wasn't enough.
It was so damn close. It was, they were all red health, 100 HP, if they had an extra right click in or not, but difference maker sometimes in these big plays. I just want to credit Neo for playing so damn well. He was level 7, 35 minutes in or something like that, and, well, 25 minutes in, because it's not even 35, but the Blink Dagger pickup. From a support, you don't expect those kind of big plays. Still, it wasn't enough.
Sagim, that was an incredible Earthshaker ult. He waited until the BKBs were down. He caught everyone in the Echo Slam.
He was level 10. If he was level 11, they win that fight. I'm just saying.
Gyro had Aegis, though, so I don't know.
Well, he was surrounded by 4 when he came up, so...
It would have been way more interesting if he was level 11. Instead, Gyro fights his way out. The DK barely lives. LGD Gaming, I mean, that was Kabu, had to go for that. Had to try and make a big play. If he snatches the Aegis there, if Earthshaker's level 11, if the game had gone just a bit better for Rattlesnake, they could have taken this. I mean, they've shown they're capable of beating LGD, but it's one thing to be capable of it, and it's another thing to actually deliver.
Yeah, the execution wasn't there. We talked about Shadow Fiend having a very slow start. Kabu on the top lane just completely shut down. And their mid IC generally make big play was shut down early by the possibility of jungle ganks, by the D ward we talked about earlier on. I mean, we saw a lot of these late game team fights, but it's really ramification of early game plays.
Right.
And that's same thing with game number 1.
And that's where LGD is very strong. They love to play defensively. I felt for Rattlesnake, they didn't have to force the issue as much, but we've talked a lot. Let's throw it over to the analysts. Blitz, Purge, your thoughts?
Wow, what an insane game 2 there. I just really felt like the story from LGD there was that their mid player, Zhao 8, as well as their carry player, played nearly flawlessly. And those 2 heroes have a lot more excuses of staying alive. There was that gank mid on Zhao 8 the one time, where he barely ended up staying alive, stealing the haste rune and making plays. But more than that, like, compared to a Shadow Fiend, a hero like Dragon Knight and Gyrocopter are just way more forgiving of any mistakes you make.
Yes, Xiaowei gets a special mention. I mean, he started the game like 5-0. The first blood rotation by him, I mean, every time he rotated, it led to a kill.
Yeah.
He played that game nearly flawlessly. I mean, he also denied the Kunkka a lot of farm. I think at 18 minutes, Icy playing Kunkka only had 54 CS. So he was able to actually really limit the effectiveness of Icy. On top of that, I mean, that was the way that Rattlesnake picked was for that large fight. Get your Shadow Fiend a quick BKB, but he got it around 16, 17 minutes, so where they weren't able to fight before that point. Just because, I mean, LGD had a better lineup at fighting early and constantly fighting. Using heroes like Shadow Demon, the Soul Assumption by Visage, they were able to constantly, consistently fight, whereas Rattlesnake was kind of relying on that huge one team fight. And we saw, actually, the way that it was supposed to go at the Roshan fight, where they got everything off, and that's how I think they were kind of envisioning most of the fights to look, minus maybe the massive Earthshaker ult. But, I mean, they got everything off, but it was just a little too late.
Yeah, it definitely hurt things a bit. I mean, Shadow Fiend started off pretty weak, died a couple times, wasn't able to snowball. He got, at one point in the game, he actually had more last hits than anybody else, but comparing his net worths, his team had more kills, they had more towers killed, just a big gold advantage at that point, and it's so hard for Rattlesnake to come back from that deficit when they're that far behind. So I don't know if you have any other interesting points to make. How did you feel like the drafts? You just thought that it was really going to snowball a lot better, more grouping up and big AoE team fights, and that just didn't happen?
I think LGD picked a lineup where they're consistently fighting, which is one thing. A lot of low cooldown spells, things that lead themselves to early game rotations a lot better. Whereas Rattlesnake, both games have kind of gone for that huge, let's go for the team fight. I mean, the first game they picked up, they had maybe one reliable stun in a flame break, minus ults. No mag RP, no bad ults. Before that, so that means their early game is going to be absolutely terrible. They have really little ways to pressure. And then on top of that, I mean, if you land the mag ults on maybe 5 heroes, and then you get your really long cooldown ults off, then your team is, then they're rolling, and that's exactly what they went for again, but unsuccessful. So I think the drafts maybe need to be geared towards not letting LGD get such a good start in the beginning. Otherwise, I mean, LGD has done the same thing. They've consistently taken fights early, then they've pushed the towers. The gold lead is so large that even if Rattlesnake gets those huge wombo combo team fights off, it doesn't matter at all.
All right, well, that was Game 2 of LGD versus Rattlesnake, guys. This is for the TI3 Eastern Qualifiers. Rattlesnake needs to win 3 to end up taking this. LGD, this could be the game clincher. So we'll be back in just a bit. Going to have a short break, and we'll be back with Game 3.